what's your dating life like in Japan?
Well, yes, I happily have a girlfriend right now. Things going pretty well on that front, and she is Japanese. She actually lives down in Saitama, so which is actually very convenient coming from here and going down there. But dating life in Japan, ooh, if I go back to my late 20s, it's pretty fun, people. Yeah, so I mean, this kind of goes into being, black in Japan. You're going to run into people that are instantly not interested in you. They don't want to know anything about you. They don't want anything to do with you. That's fine. Forget them, right? Forget about that. There are plenty of men and women out here, okay? It's a little bit more difficult for the women. We can go into that. But there are plenty of men and women out here that are very interested in learning about somebody who's not from here. It's learning about a different culture, right? Black culture worldwide, not just from the United States, has really been embraced by some aspects of Japanese society. There's a whole BK movement, which I don't know what the K stands for, maybe it's black, but the BK movement, like B-boys and B-girls, that were, if you look at it, it looks kind of damn offensive, but they were dressing like, the going to tanning salons with the cornrows and really just obsessively listening to hip hop, not just the foreign hip hop, but the native Japanese hip hop. There's been interest in black culture from a segment of the Japanese population for decades now, and I can talk a little bit about that because that actually stems back to the Reconstruction era after World War II, and this applies mostly to black men dating Japanese women. But I have very good friends who are black women married to Japanese men. So this goes both ways. But what people sometimes overlook is that in 1945, the country is obviously destroyed, 2 nuclear attacks, and that doesn't even account for the devastation that happened in Tokyo during the firebombing of Tokyo in 1944 and 1945. So during the occupation of Japan, you had the American forces come in, and I'm not gonna pull any punches. White people came in and did what white people do or did at that time, and pretty much started treating the native Japanese population the same way they were treating the black population in the United States under the Jim Crow policies. Very brutal, maybe even more so with rapes, with all sorts of abuses that were happening. And this, I don't want to completely say it's 100%, but overall, this was typically perpetrated by the white GIs that were occupying. Now, the black GIs that were in Japan during that time saw, wait, so I'm going to have to go back to the United States and live under this Jim Crow policy. I'm going to go back and be facing this same persecution that I'm seeing happen to the Japanese population. And so they fostered they fostered better relationships with the native Japanese population. So at that time, during this terrible time to be alive if you're in Japan, the Japanese population would often seek out the black GIs, actually, if something was going on, if there was some issue, because they were kind of rightly so scared of some of the actions that some of the white GIs had partaken. And again, I don't want to paint a broad stroke. I'm talking about a couple of bad actors, not more than a couple, but obviously they're great white American soldiers that really served with honor during the occupation. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that the perception, and this is what I've heard from the Japanese, I have older Japanese drinking buddies. This is what they're saying. I'm not making this up. This isn't what I read online. This is first-hand account, so don't shoot the messenger, right? But because of that, there's a segment of the population that has been very open and had a soft spot in their hearts for black people living in Japan. And I've met those people down near the Navy base in Yokosuka, down in Kanagawa. We talked about that a little bit. And that is an attitude that does permeate some aspects of society. It's obviously not everybody, but that can happen. As that kind of comes into dating into today, yes, there are going to be people that do not want a black boyfriend that have maybe, or black girlfriend that have a negative perspective that they've seen based off of stereotypes that are perpetrated in the media. That is unavoidable, right? It's unavoidable, right? But don't let that affect you, because there are plenty of beautiful people here that are open to any culture, that are open to learning and really interesting. Now, in their relationship, like, they might ask some insensitive questions, but that's not coming from a place of trying to persecute you or try. It's from they've not dealt with racial issues in this fashion. So overall, yeah, I've had a positive experience dating here in Japan. I've had a great time at the end of my 20s when I was out here. I have a great relationship now, and it's obviously it's a process. I will say, I don't want to discourage anyone, but I have lost so many beautiful, talented, glorious Western women as friends out here in Japan, because it is a little bit difficult for dating. It's in my experience, it's been more difficult for Western women than it has been for foreigner men in Japan. A large part of that comes from the Japanese men are intimidated a bit and not necessarily willing to put themselves out there to engage with a Western woman. They're nervous about their language abilities. They'll admire from afar, but it's very difficult for them to go up and nampa, as we would say, go up and flirt or talk. I haven't found the answer to that one yet. So I want, I like I said, I've lost some just incredibly talented, incredibly beautiful friends. I don't know. I would imagine that the dating has been part of that, and that's something that's unfortunate. But it's not utopia, but overall, it's good. And I'm not saying as a Western woman you can't find love. I'm just saying you're not gonna be going into the like the meat farm that some bars in the United States could be, and people coming up and accosting you. That's in general not gonna happen out here. I would advise foster like a deeper connection with people, especially if you're interested in dating Japanese men. Get to know them. Japanese men actually travel outside of Japan far less than Japanese women do. Japanese women travel abroad for fun. Japanese men typically travel abroad for business, right? So you just got to be more proactive and foster that relationship. It's going to take more time, but yeah, dating in Japan, it's a good time, and everything's all good on that front.